So we are back with another episode of Volume Therapy. And today we are talking about the new Symphony of Heaven album, Ordo Aurum Archeia. And it is melodic death metal with, I would say, atmospheric sections, but maybe let's translate that and say it's very influenced by atmospheric black metal. And we want to talk about this album today. And I'll just say this, Logan, his real name is Pathos. Logan is what we call him because we are such fans of Logan's Run. His name is Pathos. Okay, so just remember that, because his parents were very keen on making sure that Pathos was a super genius when it comes to. He's a very talented guy, and he's a very infectious guy too. He's got just a great personality. That he's a good friend. He's a good family man. He's a hard worker, from what I understand. He just seems to be the kind of guy that sets his goals and goes for them. And he's truly a good friend. So,
and I would say that if you are watching this podcast and you've never heard Pathos, you have heard Pathos. He wrote, recorded, and gave us our intro song.
Yeah, the song at the beginning, Volume Therapy. Yeah. I don't know if you know this. Rumor is, and I mean this dead serious, this guy is the drummer for ZZ Top's Kid. That's what I heard. Frank Beard's kid.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. But in real life, his name is Beard. So that's funny to me.
His last name is Beard.
Yeah.
The thing about the drummer's name is Mason Beard. And Mason, I'm going to say it like this. Okay, I'm going to say, the first time I heard Mason play drums, I thought Mason should probably not play drums. But I will tell you right now that the drumming on this new record is so good that I literally called up Logan and said, "Is that Mason? Or did you program that?" He said, No, that's him. That's him. And so what I'm saying sounds like it's an insult, but what I'm saying is Mason Beard could be one of the most improved musicians in a very, very short time that I have ever heard.
But you also got to remember that he grew up. He was like a teenage kid before. Yeah. And now he's old man Beard. He got his freaking
old man Beard on drums.
Like I personally think he's always been pretty good on the drums. And this is a great album. First off, let's just talk about the album. This album has the best production that Symphony of Heaven has done yet. It's top-notch production.
Who mixed it? Do you have it in front of you?
2 hours later.
It says it was mixed by Kevin Butler of Test Tube Audio.
Okay, I'm not familiar. But I put the album on expecting what I had heard from the band before, which is definitely listenable and definitely good. There was nothing wrong with their earlier records. Nothing wrong with it. This one is on a whole different level. Like, I mean, it's like if you ever listen to like Slecht Valk or Crimson Moonlight or Pantocrator, like the I thought that this one had that kind of quality. And I told Logan, I mean, there's nothing that I hear on this album sonically that I would change.
No, I think that they went through a lot of struggles with this album, but I think that they got a really, really, it's great. And I'm sure that in their minds, it might've been very hard to deal with, because I think it was supposed to be an EP and now it's a full length. I think that Eero, who was a full-time member of the band, and Eero is, didn't he play in Renascent? And
what are they called?
I don't remember. I probably said the name completely wrong. Renascent?
Rhinoceros?
Yeah, Rhinoceros. Okay, I think we should go through this. Now, the very first song is an intro. It's a minute and a half of weird alien clicking. I don't know what it is. It's Legendarium. Then the song Archeia. It's on the money.
You mentioned the riffs, and I think earlier on, I mean, they've always been riffy, but not like this record. Although it sounds like a lot of things that I've heard that are in that blackened orchestral death metal. It sounds like all those bands, all the big bands, but yet it's got its own thing. And I think this is going to sound like a weird thing to say. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe being based in Southern Indiana, it's a part of the Southern Indiana cultural thing that kind of finds its way into the DNA of this band. So the riffs sound like those big metal riffs that from other bands, but there's just a little extra something that's very specific to them.
Yeah, I think that right? I think you can definitely hear their influences at times, and the way that they sort of play melodic death metal, and yet this is very clearly them.
Yeah.
I
like a lot of the tremolo picking, like the black metal tremolo picking that's in this, and it's really tight. I mean, really tight. And that made me happy, because when you have two guys tremolo picking and they're not real tight, it can be a hard listen. But they were right on the money.
Yeah, and it's tough to get it right. So I think that this overall, like, if we go song by song, Archeia is probably the most raging of the songs here. It sets the house on fire and says, we're in for a long night. Let's go. Bam! We're going to hurt you. And then with Sword and Spear, I don't remember it off the top of my head, because it seems to be more ambient. Not ambient.
Ambient.
And a really beautiful intro.
Yeah, and it's sort of, and it's ethereal.
Ethereal.
While being melodic death metal.
Yeah.
And
if I remember correctly, doesn't that have, like, there's a spot in the middle where there's a guitar solo? It's kind of like maybe 3/4 of the way through, and then all of a sudden there's this shift into this other riff that takes the song out, and it's either with Sword and Spear or The Hunter. One of those two does.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head. These songs flow together very well, and I really felt like they worked well, and it just sort of became one piece. And there are riffs in this and time changes that are just done very well. It's got a little bit of that metal sort of fantasy vibe to it, but I felt like it wasn't in any way cheesy. No. It wasn't like when power metal bands do it, and it wasn't overtly like, how black metal bands try to be creepy and scary and it wasn't like that. It was just very much and it was mixed in a way that wasn't overpowering. One of the things that I think happens a lot with music is that the vocals are such the centerpiece for most bands that we get used to vocals being louder than they probably should be for some metal bands. And I felt like this was more along the lines of what it should be. I thought that the guitars were loud. The music was, bombastic. It was there. It's in your face. It's fighting you, punching you, knee to the groin. It's going to hurt you. And you're fighting back, trying to stay alive, and drinking water and spitting in the bucket, and taking another hit. Okay, maybe I listen to music a little bit weird, but anyway, I really felt like the album really came through in that sense. I think that they've really stepped it up. So I just want to commend them on writing a great album. Even the re-recording of In Anger's Midst was excellent. Clearly, just better produced than the last version. I really, really dug it.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts on the album, just overall.
I don't know. I guess it would depend on my mood. But I'm going to tell you, today when I was listening to it, but right before the show, gave it another spin because I wanted to be fresh. And the first time that I listened to Serenity's Embrace, I was driving. And I thought, it's a cool driving song because it's just this epic, basically a guitar solo.
Yeah.
There's no vocals. Guitar solo pretty much all the way through it. Very melodic, very cool. Today, when I listened to it, it didn't hit me. Today, I kind of don't want that to be there. That may have just been my mood. You mentioned power metal earlier. It was like all of a sudden that song isn't really that much different than any other song on the album. But since there's no vocals there, all of a sudden my brain goes power metal, even though there's no vocal, just I don't know. It just had that kind of guitar to it. And that's what it made me think of. So it kind of took me away from the death metal thing right in the very middle of the album. So today I wasn't.
And let's be honest. The lead vocals are brutal on this. They're heavy. They're aggressive. Gosh. And they're mean and nasty. And it's everything that death metal likes. And so, when it's not there, it does seem much mellower, in my opinion. Yeah. Because there's no like rabid dog trying to bite you.
Logan's this album, top to bottom, is hands down my favorite vocal performance that Logan's ever done. I love Logan's vocal performance on this, and I love how this album is slick. Like it's like, I mean, if they got any more slick, I probably would not like it. Like they pushed it right to that edge where I go, okay, you get any cleaner than this and you're going to lose me, because I like metal and punk and rock and roll to be raw. I like it to have some teeth. And I think this album still has the teeth, although it's like somebody put some Crest white strips on those teeth, right? It's pretty it's got teeth, but they're pretty. You know, they look nice. And so Serenity's Embrace, if there was any moment on the album where I was like, I'm not digging it as much, it's that one. And then Away with the Atheist, that has such crazy riffs in it and crazy timing in it. Serenity's Embrace kind of took me out. Then this one was almost too crazy, and I'm like, ugh, I'm having trouble getting back in. And then Portent of Flame comes on. Favorite song on the album. And a lot of the guitars, there's these harmony guitars. Yeah. I thought it was like, if Stryper was a death metal band, that's what they'd sound like. And I'm like, holy cow, that's amazing. I mean, like, I never thought of that. Like, I never thought of those kind of harmony Stryper type guitars being in death metal, really. I mean, yeah, you hear it here and there, but the way that Symphony of Heaven does it, it's way out front, like a Stryper record. And it's just like, it's like a punch in the face. But that Portent of Flame, that song, it just has some of the coolest riffs on the album, the harmonies, and his vocals. Good night. If I were managing that band, I would say, you guys take that one song and let that be the blueprint for your next album. Let that be the standard that you're shooting for your next album. Because I think Portent of Flame,
I would say that second song too is that. Because it's got the raging riff, and it's got and it's got everything. Right. I'm the riff guy that's going, come on, riff it up. Yeah. But I think Hero wrote some great music there.
Yeah, In Anger's Midst, another great song.
And I think that they wanted to redo it because the production before was a little bit not bad. But I wanted to say, if you want to hear some interesting vocals, their previous album, Maniacal Entropic Discordia, is that what it's called? Yeah. And I think that's a record that you should check out too, because it's very good, and they do some interesting singing on there. He does some clean singing at times. He does some just different approaches and good stuff. But this album, it's, I think they sharpened that blade. They honed it down to an even keener edge.
Absolutely.
And I agree with you. Like you're talking about Portent of Flame. Is that the one? Yeah. And I think that's a great song. I think that's the song where I realized that the talking parts sort of worked. Is when I was listening to it, like on like the seventh time, I listened to this a whole bunch. I'm like, oh, yeah. And it's been out for a while now, so I probably listened to it 20 times. But to talk about it, I listened to it a bunch of times in a row.
I'm a guy who has recorded a lot of cover tunes. I like recording cover tunes just because it's fun to do. I like recording them because I like letting other people hear my take on a cover tune, or in the case of, my band Grave Robber, recording a Misfits song, we don't really try to change it. We just try to, how close can we get? Can we
Right,
emulate
right.
it? How close can we get? And so they closed this album out with Nomad by Sepultura. Now, well, first of all, before I say my opinion, I want to hear your opinion. What did you think of the Sepultura cover?
That was good. I think that it's a good cover. I think that all the players did very good on it. I think it sounds like Sepultura. I like it. I think it's a good cover. The original version is on an album that I would consider a near perfect album. So it is hard for anybody to get the same vibe as Sepultura had. So this sounds like they really, really like Sepultura and did a really good job with it. But it is not as heavy it's not quite the same. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I think it's a good cover.
My take on this is I don't think it's a bad performance. They did the song justice for sure. I just don't think it fits on this album to me.
No, I can see
to
that.
me, all of a sudden it stops being, it's cooking along. This is Ordo Aurum Archeia. And then all of a sudden it gets to that song and it's no longer that album anymore. It's just tacked on there. And so I don't like that cover being, I like the cover. I don't like
think
the
it's
cover
on
being,
I don't think it's on the CD. I don't think it's. My CD fell behind my stereo, and I haven't got it back out yet. So I can't look at it.
Yeah, I don't like it being part of this collection of songs.
I think it's a good bonus track for the digital download.
I can see that. I can see that.
I mean, and I think that they separated it from the album by putting In Anger's Midst first. Because I think that the album technically is done. Yeah, I'm going to speak for the band here. Just listen to me. I know everything. I'm super smart. Shut up over there. Listen to me. I think that after Port into Flame, that the rest is just to make it long. They're just doing
an ending on Port into Flame. Wow, you couldn't have a better ending of an album.
I really feel like those 7 songs, 6 songs and an intro, are a full on musical journey.
Yeah.
And then In Anger's Midst is it's a fast barn burning tune. I don't barn burner, death metal. You don't say that about death metal, do you? Yeehaw! I'm gonna kick your booty. It's drinking moonshine and it's frustrated.
Or Bush Light.
It's driving to pick him up drunk and drinking White Claw. Oh, wait. So I would say that Nomad is what it is. And I think it's just that to add length and substance. And I think that overall it was a good enough cover to be included. I think the drum production just isn't the same as the Cavalera guy Igor had back in the day. And he used some very unique drums to get some unique sounds that sadly aren't on this song, and I miss them.
Right.
And I'm like, it's not. Here's just so you know, I've done a bunch of cover songs too, and some of my covers suck. Like I did a Black Sabbath cover that shouldn't have been covered. That's what one guy said. He said some songs should not be covered, and you know what? He's probably right.
And I've seen that, but I've done the same thing where I've tagged a cover song on the end of something just because we have it here. Let the fans hear it, and so I have the same criticism for myself. So I'm not trying to crap on Symphony of Heaven for adding that song there. Well, I was saying was, to me, as I was just listening, even In Anger's Midst fits. I don't know if I would have closed the album out with it. I think if it would have been me, I would have had the Sepultura cover as a standalone song, maybe. Then I would have had In Anger's Midst somewhere in the middle and ended with Port in the Flame. But that's a very, very, very small criticism. I mean, it doesn't make me like the album any less. So if I'm going to criticize it, that's all I got.
Personally, I think the more I heard the Sepultura cover, the more I liked it. So I'm a slow ship to steer because don't you touch my favorite albums there, Jethro. And I am that kind of guy. What do you mean we do that? We know we don't. We do it this way. And so I liked it more the more I heard it. And it sounded better on headphones than it sounded in my van. So
Mm.
yeah, you know, and
that's how I listen. I listen to this first. I got some pretty decent JBL earbuds that sound pretty good.
yeah,
And then I listened to this album decently loud without destroying my eardrums all the way through. It was my first listen, and that's why I mean the production blew me away from the start. So my rating 1 to 10 that I'm going to give this album is I'm going to give this album an 8.5.
I was going to go with an 8. I think I'll go with an 8. I think I like it. I think 8 is, in order to get a 9.5 or a 10, every song's got to be banging for me. And
Important to Flame, that one song, push it up that half.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I get that.
One song did it for me.
I know that Logan's already thinking about the next one, you know, so buy and listen to Symphony of Heaven.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, share. The biggest help I think you can be to us right now is to share all of our links. Right down there should be a link tree that links to everything where you can find us to our YouTube, to our Spotify, Apple, every possible podcast platform that we could find, and all of our socials are right on that link tree. So you can follow us on wherever and let your friends know, because
Absolutely.
This isn't just us giving our opinions. This is your platform to give your opinion. Go look it up, listen to it, and tell us what you think of this album. If you disagree with us, we're not going to argue with you. We want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So our rating again, I'm giving it an 8.5.
And I'm giving it an 8. Yeah.
So great job, Symphony of Heaven. And thanks for listening.